Hello and welcome to the Even Me podcast. This is Morph,
And your girl Kim.
and today we have a special guest. We have Miss Ingrid with us today. She's going to be talking to us about our question. Hello, Ingrid. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm good. How are you guys doing?
We are great. So today's podcast, we are talking about how did you know if the person that you're with right now is the person for your lifetime, basically your soulmate, one you're gonna take. I don't want to say to the grave. That's kind of gruesome. But to the end of your life, spend the rest of your life with them. So how did you know?
I pondered over the question a little bit earlier, and to be honest, I don't think that people have one somebody. I don't think people have one somebody. I also think that you can be with somebody for a long time, be married a long time. I've been married this November. This is our 27th year being married
Congratulations.
this
Congratulations.
November.
Congrats.
And so you can be with somebody a long time and not necessarily feel like that is your soulmate or that is the person that you're going to go into eternity with, spend the rest of your life with. Of course, over the course of 20, which is really 28 years, including dating, 28 plus years dating, there have been times when I'd say maybe 5 or 6 times when it could have been over. And so you have have ups and downs, ins and outs. Sometimes you wake up and you don't even like that person. You
so
love them, but you
yeah.
don't like them.
So what do you do in those moments that you feel that way? Like I'm gonna get my I'll put my perspective in later, and I know Kim will as well. But what did you do in those points in time where you felt maybe this is not the right person? Maybe I've chosen the wrong person, but you still stick together. What did you do to like mesh that back together?
Well, I would say that the very last time that we had some issues, we tried counseling.
Okay.
Um, that didn't go very well because for one thing, when you're going through things, and I feel like at that point he was going through a midlife crisis,
Okay.
and um, first of all, you gotta that person, whoever is going through whatever, you gotta own it. You gotta be able to be honest with yourself and say, this is really what something that I'm going through, and I'm taking my person along for this ride. So the counseling didn't work because he wasn't completely honest about what was going on. Nobody can help you if you're not willing to talk about it fully. You
Yeah.
see what I'm saying? So, and I'm a very blunt, honest person. So, in counseling, we're in there, and the counselor is saying, "Well, what do you think happened? What do you think got you to this point, or whatever?" And I'd say something, and then they're like, "Oh, did she really say that out loud?" Yeah, if we don't tell the truth, it's not gonna, you know what I'm saying? If we don't
Yeah.
tell the truth. And I want to give you an example, but I don't want to be, I don't want to get too deep. But say, for instance, they say, she says, "Well, what happened? What got you to this point?" And I say, "Well, say, people want to have an open marriage,
Mm.
you know. And some people agree with that. I've been seeing a lot of that on TikTok lately about these people having more than one spouse. That's not even legal. Um, but to each his own. Um, But if you really want, if you have had this conversation with your friends or relatives or other people outside of that person, and then, but over here, you're saying, no, this is not what I really want. I really want this to work. I'm working on this. No, you're not really working on this because you're not being honest. You're telling other people that you want to have 3 or 4 girlfriends on the side, but over here, you're telling me, no, it's just you. I love you. It's just me and you to the end of time. So that kind of thing. That's what I'm saying.
Basically
Yeah,
just telling you what you want to hear, but with everyone
exactly.
else, it's a whole different conversation. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. And so, counseling. So, my go to, of course, is prayer. It's prayer because that's where it all started.
Mhm.
And that goes back to the initial question of how did I know that this was my person? See, I hear a lot of my girlfriends or friends or associates or whatever saying, well, I'm looking for this, I'm looking for that. I was never looking for my person. I was
Mhm.
waiting for my person
Yeah.
to find me because I was brought up in the church. And so I knew that he was supposed to find me. He was supposed to find his good thing. I'm his good thing. He was supposed to find me so that, he would find favor with the Lord when he found me.
Mhm.
And so for years in my 20s, my early 20s, and we were young when we got married, I knew that I wanted to be married. I knew I wanted to be married. I knew that I wanted to have children. Um, and I prayed and I asked God, send me my person. I don't want to date 5, 6 because you start dating these people, it starts to get physical, and before you know it, you've had all these different partners because you dated all these people, and I just did not want that. And
You
so
waste a
I
lot of time too.
Yes. And
Mhm.
so I prayed and I asked God to send me my person. And so the funny thing is that I was not looking for real because the day I met him, I had just got out of a relationship, a 2-year relationship with somebody. And I had moved back in with my mother, and she was like, I want you to go back to college. I want you to get your degree, finish school, yada, yada, yada. And it was a Sunday afternoon, and I was working in a dental office at the time, and one of my friends had gotten a promotion, and she invited me to her barbecue. She was going to celebrate her promotion, and I told my mother, I said, I don't want to go. I was just broke up or whatever. And she's like, no, you need to get out. You need to have a good time, go see some people, have some fun, get out of the funk. I put my little dress on. I went to the barbecue. So my husband now was at the neighbor's house. His brother's mother lived next door to my coworker, and he says now that he asked who was I. I was the first guest at the party, and they said that must be one of Michelle's friends. And he said, okay, they were going to the park. He said, if she's there when we get back, I'm going to get her number. And they laughed it off and said, oh, yeah, sure. Well, when he came back, I was still there. And my friend said, let's go invite the neighbors over or whatever. And we invited them over. And long story short, we started talking on the porch. He said something because another guy was trying to talk to me, and he said something to me, and we started talking, and we never stopped talking from that night to this one.
It's funny you say that because I that's not the first time I've heard that when somebody comes out of a relationship, they're not looking to date. They basically, like you said, trying to get out that funk, and that one person just shows up and happens to be the one that you you know kind of relate to, and you
Mhm.
just start having that conversation, and it turns into a 27-year marriage. I mean, that's great. So
Yeah.
what about you, Kim?
Hmm. I haven't found that person. Like I said, last episode, I find the duck with the broken beak and the broken leg, and it's a perfectly good duck walking right there. I'm like, "Psh, forget that duck. Let me go over here and try to fix this duck." And I get bit. But that was a question that popped in my head on Tuesday about how people know. Because I think the spirit that I was told that I have a helpmate spirit, a spirit of wanting to be there for people, wanting to do for people. People take that and use it the wrong way,
Yeah.
and I still just see the red flag, see everything, and I continuously like, let's, yeah, that red flags to me mean hit the gas, go faster, go, just go after it, and I, that's how it is. It's like go fast, and so I don't know because and when I was and I've been talking this week to different people, and I was like, I always chose somebody because of sex. That was my first thing. Oh, the sex was great. You my man, and then get into the situation with them. Like my dad told me on Monday. He said it's like that car you wanted, that 91 Cavalier you wanted so bad. You just wanted to throw your money at it. And when my dad finally went and looked at it, beautiful car, beautiful body, but lift the hood, the engine was shot.
Chuck.
And so that's how I've been choosing my relationships based on one thing. And I just go full forward. So now I'm like, yeah, I don't even, want it because of that. I wanted to where we can be, first of all, we can have a conversation. We can laugh. Yeah, we're going to have the ups and downs, but I know I'm not 100% whole, and you're not gonna be, but I'm not 100%. I'm not 50%. So I know listening to different people that's been married 3 years to the Miss Ingrid, 27 years, that some people knew right then, some people didn't know, um, and I got to wait. Like Miss Ingrid said, don't go looking for it; it's gonna come to you. He's supposed to seek you, and that's my understanding now. So I don't know, who God has in store. So I'm not cursing myself and saying like I did when I got out the relationship, I never want to be married. I would be single for my rest of my life. Nope, I'm not cursing myself. I'm a good person, and I know I can be a good helpmate. And I just pray every day, God, send me the man you have in store for me, that we can be equally yoked, that we can have a conversation. We can
Mm.
eat. We can even go to church together. If Bible study, we can talk. That's what I want. And just a lot of stuff that I'm focusing on, and I pray that I don't miss that person. I tell God, make sure it's shining bright. The halo like over his head, is there. But right now, I'm just patiently, crawling before I get up to start walking and taking my time and trying to finish school and do all the business ventures and stuff like that. So, yeah, I'm.
Yeah, so me is a different story. My first marriage, I thought she was my soulmate. Like I told you before,
Mhm.
um, we were kind of like high school sweethearts. She was already out of high school. I was younger. I lied about my age. She
Oh.
was 19. I was only like 17. But, you
Mhm.
know, in conversation with her, she basically said she didn't like younger men. So I lied and said I was 18, which 99% of young boys, when they're young, they lie. Everybody lies about the age when they're young because they want to be older. So
Mhm.
I said I was 18. We talked, so we talked, got into a relationship, and I thought that was the one, but with years and time, things change. She changed, situations around us change, and we kind of like fell apart. Like the last year, we were just together, but not together. It wasn't like the beginning, it was more pointing, we've talked about that before. So I really wasn't looking for another relationship, but I knew Janelle, from work. I mean, we knew of each other, but we didn't know each other. So one day we just introduced each other. I was still married at the time, but we just knew each other as friends. She worked in another department. I worked in the call center, and that was it. But with time, once I was separated, we actually started talking on the phone. I could kind of tell that she was like my, I say better half, just because I'm not a person that, sets up things. She's the one that sets up, our vacations and things like that. I'll do anything around the house. You tell me to build something, I'll do it. If you have a vision, I'll do it. So that's how we work. And then, church and God always brings, everyone together. So, I mean, we both love going to church. We love our pastor, we love our church. And, I think if you're not in the church, I think that kind of hinders a lot of things because a lot of relationships that are out of the church, they don't have a belief. All these people that like you were mentioning, these open relationships. I don't think if you're a Christian you believe in an open relationship. That is not in the Bible. That's
It's
that's
not
one
of
thing. Is
God.
definitely not. I mean, you can do it if you want to be a sinner. Everybody can be a sinner. Everybody is a sinner anyway. But that in the Christian church is not like looked at as something you're supposed to be doing. So I
Mhm.
mean, with me and her, my flaws are her perfections, her flaws are my perfections. So we kind of yoke each other. What I do wrong, she's gonna tell me. She's not gonna let it slide. And what she does wrong, I tell her. So we it's a open relationship to communication. I'm not gonna lie and say I'm the best communicator because you know sometimes I can think of something in my head and I thought I told her, or in my mind I did tell her, but I didn't actually tell her. So then when things happen, we talk about it. Is it the best conversation? It's not. But, in the long run, that little chat or altercation that we have is not going to separate us. If all we
Mm.
got to do is just go to our corners, we calm down, we come back. I tried the whole, me and Kim talked about this before. I tried the whole counseling thing in my previous marriage. It didn't work because the counselor was actually more the original counselors. One was on my side, one was on her side, and then they separated. It was just a woman at that point, and she was kind of pounding on me because of course I'm the male. I don't know if that was the situation, but she just made it seem like I did something wrong, even though I didn't cheat, nothing like that. It was just you know like I said, situations in the family kind of separated us. Her mom having cancer at that point, and at later on she developed cancer. So it was like a downhill, you know, towards the end. But I mean, I think we're together for a lifetime. I mean, we bought a house together, we engaged. Even though we haven't got married yet, we are supposed to get married like 2 years ago, but because of COVID, a bunch of other stuff happened. So, because we were supposed to get married in Italy, that was the
Oh,
plan.
oh,
So,
nice.
yeah. So in 2020, you couldn't go to Italy. You couldn't
No.
go nowhere. So that we had to cancel those and use the tickets to go somewhere else. But I mean, eventually, I think I'm gonna be forced to. No, I'm kidding. So, second part of the question. Um, so let's say the person you were with or before, how did you know that person was not the person for your lifetime before you met your current husband or
Uh,
any previous relationship?
the person before, he had been married before. He had one child, not with his previous spouse, but with somebody that he had met afterwards. So he didn't check my boxes.
Mm.
So, number one, he said that he never wanted to be married again
Mm.
because he, had such a bad marriage the first time or whatever. So that checked him off because he doesn't want to be married again. And of course, I do. Number two was he had children already. I didn't want to have any children going into my marriage, and I didn't want the other person to have any children. I didn't want any drama from either side.
Mm.
And he was a whore.
Oh.
He
Wow.
was a
That's that's
for
straight to the point.
there's
You don't
no
say
better
no more.
word. He was a whore.
Need another.
Yeah. And I guess I had that fairy tale, and I may have been naive at that time, but just in my mind, when I was 9 years old, my mother, I grew up in with both my parents. My father passed away when I was 9, but my mother was degreed and wanted to work, and that was an argument in their marriage. She wanted to work, and he didn't want her to. He wanted her to be at home, taking care of him, taking care of the children or whatever. And I wanted that. I saw my mother's life as a little girl, and I wanted that. I knew at 9 years old that I wanted to be married, and I wanted to have my husband's children, and we were gonna be this happy little family in this little house with the white picket fence. I did, with the wraparound porch. I did, and so I knew that that dude was not my person. And Kim, the red flags. So when he said, I don't want to be married, I said, okay, he's just bitter and hurt. I
Mhm,
can change that. I'm
mhm,
going to be so wonderful that I'm going to make him want to get married. Now, I'm going to tell you something funny about that in a minute.
mhm,
But so then the little boy, I was like, okay, well, he's a cute kid and he's young. He was 3.
mhm,
And I said, I can learn to love this kid, and this kid can love me. He still can be molded. Um, and I tried. So his mother, fast forward, when I finally met the little boy, his mother was without a job, and I am the money person in all my relationships. Everybody that I've been with, they're horrible with money.
mhm,
And so I'm usually the one that pays. So my boyfriend at the time, I would pay his bill. I go over every month, first of the month, write all the checks, pay all his bills or whatever. And he would just constantly be complaining about this chick wanting more money, more money. She needed more money. And she didn't have a job.
mhm.
I got her a job in the dental office.
Wow.
Yeah, you did a lot.
Yes, you did. Woo!
I got her a job. I'm telling you, it's a red flag, but I was like, I'm gonna do this. Like, it's me and him. I got her a job in the dental office. She and I actually became good friends.
Hmm.
And but then one Valentine's Day, I had driven up to the house, and I was leaving something in the mailbox. I don't know why I wasn't going in the house to put it in the house or whatever, because I had a key. But I was leaving something in the mailbox, and when I opened the mailbox, this fragrance came out of the mailbox,
Hmm.
and it was perfume. And somebody had sent him a card, and she had sprayed it with perfume, and it was so loud. And so I took the card out, and I'm a woman. Yeah, I opened it. I opened it and I read it, because who is this sending? And it was a name that I didn't recognize or whatever. And she was talking about how they had this wonderful weekend in somewhere else in a different city. And I had thought he was a hairstylist. And so I thought that he had gone to a hair show, and he was with her. And so, long story short, I was just like, I confronted him. When I confronted him, which is really odd for me with men, when you confront them and it becomes something that you did. So it was
Mm.
my fault that he cheated. And so that was it. That was it. I mean, I had done everything for him. I would pay his bills. If he was lacking in some department or whatever, I would take that up. I was doing all the things that wives do, but without the ring. And
Mhm.
so, Kim, in a stop traffic light, there's red, yellow, green. You see the red flag? That's red. That means stop.
Mhm. Yeah.
When a man hits you or he curses you or calls you out of your name, that's a yellow light for you. That's caution. What is that about? In an argument. And me and my best friend have this thing about, I want to, you date somebody and it's all hearts and butterflies and violins at first, but we're like, okay, he's saying he's in love, and we're waiting on the crazy to come out. What do you like when we argue?
Mm-hmm.
Like you're saying, is it's over when
Mm-hmm.
we argue? Are you going to go all the way to the end, or can we talk through things? What are your communication skills like? You just like really got to get to know this person. So just like one point, my husband and I, when we were dating, we have literally sat up from like going to bed, which we shouldn't have been doing, but going to bed at night, nothing was happening. It was nothing physical, but going to bed at night at 9 o'clock at night and saw the sun rise
Mm-hmm.
many nights while we were dating, just laying there talking,
Mm-hmm.
just talking about any and everything. We could talk about anything, about our childhood, about what we thought our future looked like, what would we want, whether it was with each other or not. And so let me just say, the young lady that he was dating before me, she asked him about, when did she think that they were going to get married or whatever. He told her, I'm not going to marry you, you're not my person. And she was like, that's hurtful. And he was like, no, I've dreamt her. I've seen her in my dreams. And when I meet her, I'm going to know that she's my person. And he says that it was me in his dream. And when he saw me, and I'm like, what, dude? You know, like that's a good line. But he was like, no, your hair, we were this age that we are now in our 50s.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, we were dressed. I don't know what it was. It was like you were being honored for something, but we were dressed and we were going out. Your hair was cut the same. It was you in my dream. And when I met you, I knew that you were the one. And he said, I was sleeping one night and he said, God came to him and he says, she's the one. And so I
Oh,
was like,
wow.
okay.
Wow.
All right.
That's a
You know,
good pickup line. I like that. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I dreamt
and
you. You're the girl of my dreams. Okay.
that, but I'm hearing that this week. I don't know what it was. Tuesday night, I couldn't sleep, right? And well, I went to the nail shop. I told you, Miss Ingrid, I went to the nail shop. Never go to the nail shop
Mm-hmm.
during the week, ever. And I got off of work. I was just hyped. Like, why I can't go to sleep? I rushed, like, hey, yeah, I'm going to the nail shop real quick. Made it there at 6:45. They close at 7. Normally, the door is locked. They don't play at this nail shop. They not going. When I say I need a pedicure refill, and they was, oh, can you come back and set your appointment? They did not. They was like, come on in
Mm.
and sit down. And it was like it was meant. Nobody came to the door. They phone didn't ring. My phone didn't ring. Nothing. And I'm sitting there, and I'm just on looking at a little comedian stuff on my phone, and this couple sitting in front of me. And I was like, I want to ask them. They communicating so well with each other, and he's catering to her every need. It's like she was kind of like she was flustered and upset. I guess that's the look on her face. But he was just like nurturing and catering to her needs. But I'm like, you don't want to say anything because episode 4 or 5 we had, and Miss Ingrid, don't look at that episode. It was a little, yeah. But anyway, they were saying that when women talk to men, that's flirtatious. So I was like, I don't want to say anything, and I don't want to make her mad. So when she stood up,
Mm.
yeah, she stood up, and I asked. I said, "Hey, I'm sorry to bother you. How long y'all been married?" She said 3 years. I said, "Oh wow." She's like, "It seemed like it's longer." I said, "No, it's just I see how y'all communicate, and he's catering to your needs." And that's amazing. I said, I got this podcast, and that's what we talking about relationships. And I didn't tell her much of anything else of what's going on with me. I've been in a relationship. I got out of 2 years ago. It was chaotic. She said, let me tell you real quick. She said, I said, how did you know he was yours? She said, I didn't know. He told me after the third day of us meeting that I was going to be his wife. I was like, really? She said, yeah. And we met I think they met at the airport, and they exchanged numbers, and they had a couple of conversations, and he would check on her to make sure her day was going good. And she was upset, having a fit because she didn't have the Jolly Ranchers. The store didn't have her Jolly Ranchers, and she had to go back to work. And he sent her and it was so amazing. I was like, you only hear this on the Hallmark Channel. He sent her a 3-year supply of her favorite Jolly Ranchers.
Whoa.
They was not even dating. So fast forward, she was living in Texas, he in Oklahoma, and he said, we're gonna have a dinner, go to get something to eat, pick your restaurant, I'm gonna send you there. But he
Mm.
flew down. She didn't know. During the day he flew, rented a car, and he showed up to her house and
Mm.
picked her up. When he
Mm.
got back to Kansas, he told her, now you can't say we never went on a date. So I'm telling you, we gonna get married. You gonna be my wife. And another dude was trying to date her. She was gonna go on a date. He said, no, cancel that. You're mine, and we're gonna be married on such and such date. It was something special about March 30th. And they did. So I'm like, damn, how many people did I ignore because I'm looking at the broke duck, and I'm looking at this broke duck and not the duck that's been waddling around me and stuff like,
Mhm.
I just, so now I'm like, I'm stepping back. At first, when I got out that relationship, I was like, I don't ever want to get married. I don't want to be in a relationship and whatever. And then I was cursing myself. So I'm saying, like, let me stop cursing myself. I do want to be married again. And I want that person to know that I'm his helpmate, and I want him to want it's just me and him. And but I was asking that question, even my coworker, which is young, he's younger than all the people I was talking to, and he said he knew. The lady checked all his boxes, and he knew that was his one. And so last night when I was at the little concert, the older ladies, I recorded them. How did you know? 41 years of marriage that guy was your guy. She said, girl, I didn't know. I didn't know. It was
Mm.
God that told me he was mine. And I had to question God again. Are you sure?
Are you sure? Yeah.
He not he not tall like I want him. Are you sure? And that's how she said, because God not gonna fix you up or get you somebody that's not equally yoked to you, and that doesn't want to go down that same path of growth with you. And we, like I said, every time I talk to Anthony, I'll try to put stuff together. I am trying to be God, and it never works out. I'll be trying to stuff that square peg in that hole. It don't go all the way, but I'm trying to shave off the sides and get it in there.
Mind your own business, Kim.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, God, I'm done. I'm not trying to be you. I'm not trying to do none of it no more. Done. So I'm not, actually just dating or whatever. Maybe casually having sex, but then not dating and not looking. But I'm focused on so much more, and I won't. Like I said, God, let him show up. I mean, when he come to me, and then I know that's my Boaz, as they say. We want a Boaz, but do we know how to be a Ruth? So I know how to be a Ruth. I'm just waiting on Boaz. So yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say, probably got to stop searching, because that's probably what's going on. You're searching, and you get stuck, like you said, to the wounded duck, and that other person is out there, but you really haven't, like, either talked to them, or because I was gonna say, because Ingrid kind of intrigued me, because she said the last person had a kid,
Mm-hmm.
and I know I had two kids when I came into the relationship with Janelle. She had twins. So I met them when they were like 13 years old. My kids, I can't even remember their age. I think they were like 9 and 10, something like that.
Mhm.
And I think I told myself many years ago, I was like, I don't want to get involved with someone that had kids, just because, like, like you said, Ingrid, is the situation is tends to be bad, because now you got to deal with a baby mama or a baby daddy,
Mhm.
and that person always coming over or starting up, stuff. You don't know what you get yourself into, or you don't even know if your significant other that you're dating is still messing around with them,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
they put you in that
Mhm.
situation. But
Mhm.
I mean, luckily in my situation, it was only my baby mama. She really didn't get into it as much. She just basically would hound the kids to give all the information, make sure they wasn't calling, Janelle their mom and things like that. So it would mess up the situation on my side. But on Janelle's side, the girls and the dad, like he pretty much never claimed them, from what I can
Mm.
tell, until they graduated, until they got like their masters. He started coming around. It's like all these years, from like 13 to like 21. Then he finally came around. Then when they turned 23 and graduated with their no, 24, yeah, and they graduated with their masters, he came back around again. So I'm
What?
like, yeah. So I'm like, what's the point? But they kind of saw for
Yeah.
themselves, because after that, he pretty much kind of fell out the picture again. Like he came to their graduation and said hello, basically
Like
tried
you
to act
did
like I would.
something.
Yeah. I'm like, you coming around at the end. One day, it kind of hurt me a little bit because um, he fixed their car. Well, he just put a tie wrap on something because it was hanging, and I'm not sure how they talked to him or what happened. And she said, "My dad helped me." I'm like, "Oh man, that
Mm.
hurt," because like I'm the one that's been in your life since you were 13, taking care of, of all your needs. Make sure you're on point, you're doing what you're supposed to. But after that, they stopped calling him dad. They just started calling him by his name and
Mhm.
started just continue. They always called me dad ever since, I want to say, like 6 7 months down the line, before me and Janelle got like serious, like before we moved in, any of that. They were already calling me dad. They were so happy to have a Dominican dad, because they thought they were part Dominicans because they're light skinned. So they're like, yeah, we Dominican, we Dominican. So
So I have a question.
mhm.
So you said that hurt you. Did you communicate that to that daughter when that?
I didn't, because I felt that it was just natural for her to say that at that
Mm.
point. I did let my fiance know. I was like, that kind of hurt. She was like, well, do you want to tell him? Do you want to talk about it? I was like, no, we'll see what happens. I was like, he's going to fall off again. I'm like, I'll just leave it alone. There's no point of me bringing it up and making him feel bad. Plus, you know, the way you're blunt, the way I'm blunt as well. Cause like if my kid does something, I'm gonna tell him something. Same as what I was doing with my daughters, because I would tell them something, and my fiance would be, well, you can't talk to them like that. They're girls. I'm like, well, if I do it with my kids, I'm gonna do it with them too. I mean, I understand that they're girls, and there's a certain way I have to talk to them, but I have to let them know right then and there.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna scold them, don't do this or don't do that,
You're right. Right.
but I have to treat them equally, just in case they ever come around each other, because I've seen that happen. I've seen where the dad treats his
Make a
kid,
difference.
a certain way, but then like his step kid, he treats them a totally different way. And of course, the mom is going to be like, "Well, you don't treat your kid like that. Why you treat my kid like that?" I think it should be equal. If you
Yeah.
if you're going to treat them one way, you should treat them both like that. They know you love them equally, and there's no difference between either one. My girls, to me, they think I'm their dad. Pretty much. To them,
You
there's
are
no
bad.
difference. Yeah.
Yeah.
So to them,
Yeah.
there's no difference. No matter what happens. Even one time we separated, they were still calling me and we were talking. But we worked it out.
That's
Yeah,
good.
and I asked that question because a lot of times people don't view relationships, all other relationships, as a relationship. It's the same with children, with your friends, as it is with your spouse. It's a relationship. And so they all work the same. You got to communicate with them as well. My god sister always says, people, how are you having an issue with me, yet you're talking to her about it? You got to
Mm-hmm.
talk to me about it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, I know.
confront that person. Yeah.
People. I have known people. They're angry and they just walking around really mad. I had this young lady from high school. We went to high school together, and every time we would get in a room together, she would have this frown on her face, and she was really upset. And I was thinking, is she mad at me about something that happened,
Mhm.
30 years ago? I don't even remember what happened. If
Mm-hmm.
you have an issue with somebody, you need to say it. They probably don't even know, they probably don't even know what's wrong or what's going on. Same thing, with your spouse or whatever. You walking around the house and you feeling some kind of way about something they said or something they did, and you haven't even told them. We're not mind readers. People are not mind readers. You don't know what's going on in that person's mind. So you have to be, because you said you're not the best communicator, you gotta say it. You gotta say it, and you gotta say it out loud. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes the situation is created by the actual person and it's not really a situation. And I know that that happens a lot, especially like where an ex meets the new partner, and in their mind they've got into where I don't like this person because of this. Well, you really don't like that person just because he's dating or she's dating who you were with before, and the reason
Hmm.
that's why you dislike them is really no, or that manly thing where you meet the ex and the guy has to like squeeze the crap out of your hand and hurt you. That's like, why do people do that? It's like that you're trying to show you're more manly than me. Look, or they grab your hand. Is I don't know why men do that. It's a lot of, oh, you're not strong enough or something. But sometimes it's even sometimes women think a man is cheating because they made up that situation in their mind. Sometimes it is intuition and they know because they are actually cheating. But sometimes that situation creates more situations and that situation becomes a real situation because you're going to keep talking about it and that person's going to really get upset and basically be like, well, shit, if you're going to keep talking about it, then I'm going to go ahead and just do it.
Do
And
it.
and that happens because if 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 you're 100% honest, like I know in my relationship, I basically left a lot of friends that I figured would not help my situation. Like I had
Mm-hmm.
friends that all they wanted to do was club. When I was younger in
Mm.
school or when we weren't like that serious. So guess what? I'm not gonna be just going to clubs and strip clubs or my fiance one time told me, I don't mind you going to strip clubs. I don't mind you doing this. Just don't come home late. And I did that one time. We actually, my friend got too drunk. He fell asleep at the wheel and we are supposed to go somewhere else. But I mean, we fell asleep in the parking lot. He got kicked out of the location we are at. So he fell asleep. I fell asleep, left the
Mm.
key on, and never turned the car on. The battery died. So we were at that place at like 4 in the morning. I called my fiance. I was like, hey, could you please come get us? She's the closest. She was like, we went like, but 15, 20 minutes away. We never made it to the strip club. So she was like, nope, same way you figured out you were going to go out, same way you need to figure out how to get home. So we ended up calling the brother. He came, gave us a jump, took him home, and I kind of left that situation. Like I didn't hang, like I did hang around with other friends that did promotions at clubs and stuff like that. So I would, help them promote. But I stopped hanging around with people that, would, I mean, because he was drunk and he actually was going to drive me home,
Oh.
or we
Oh
were, so,
no.
so I'm like, I started thinking maybe God made that car stall out because I
Oh
mean
yeah.
we were there. I woke up at 4 in the morning and I had to use the restroom so bad, and we're at the back of the club because, like I said, they kicked them out, and ever since that situation, like I don't go out like that. Like there's no point. Like
Mhm.
it's it's,
Yeah,
it's not it's not me.
yeah. I with my thing, what I'm going through now, and a lot of, I can say friends. No, I don't have friends. I have a purse. She's my best friend. Her name is Kimmy. She sit in the front seat. She's not gonna get me in trouble. So that's
I'm
my
like,
best.
where's she going with this?
She's my best friend. So I don't, the people associates that I have, um, and I talk to, they views on marriage, and some of them are married, or they views on relationships made me stop hanging with them, because I said, other thing that I said, what I'm looking for right now is just not out there looking just to have somebody fill a void no more. Is what I'm looking for my future man, somebody that can grow with me, somebody that I want him when I don't feel like going to church or whatever, or feel like praying. I want him to lead me. I want you to be the leader, not just because you're the
Mm.
man, but because God says you the head. So I said, I don't want to date a man with younger kids. I feel like I have the right for that. Kids can be older, because my youngest is 12, about to be 12. I was like, I'm done with the Chuck E. Cheese days and the Happy Meal
Yeah,
days.
that's your choice.
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm
you
like,
don't want to raise kids anymore.
anymore.
No.
So, and these
Yeah.
they old. These old spirit kids. They don't kids and hang out or whatever. They in their books, or my son is on learning about cars, and my daughter is, she's speaking Japan. What is it? Uh,
Mandarin probably.
no, she's, what is it? It's not Mandarin. It's Chinese. Whatever. It's the
Vietnamese.
Yeah, so she's speaking there, teaching herself, playing the guitar, playing the violin, and orchestra. So they doing grown people stuff. So, and I'm like, I don't have to worry about no little kids like that. And I'm not, I don't want to deal with that. And I see what people go through, and they told me I was wrong. You wrong. You have kids, and how you
Mm.
gonna say that? I said, because I did my time. I did my prison sentence. I
Damn.
don't I don't want no little kids, because like I said, I'm not that person. My ex, we've been separated almost 2 years. In May, it'll be 2 years. He got married just a couple of weeks ago. I don't have a problem with it. Wish the best for him, because I was over that situation when I left. When we disbanded, we knew it was time to go. When we were sleeping in the same bed, because we were so petty to go get on the couch or go in the other room, we sleeping in the same bed with under two different blankets. So I knew it was time. I was that petty, and I was like, yeah, and I don't have to worry about him dealing. I'm pretty much mom and dad. I don't have to worry about him dealing with whoever I deal with, and my kids know if I start dating, they will respect that person. And like they told me, whoever you date, mom, as long as they make you smile, you deserve to smile, and I can
Mhm.
respect that. And they just old. So I just, like I said, I have associates, and I started getting advice from them, and the advice wasn't good. Some of them talking about, oh, gone through the red light. They didn't say it in that many words. Girl, gone through the red light. The red light is good for you. Hit it, floor it, and
Have a crash.
all
yeah,
all
crash and burn.
all advice is not good advice. You got to
I
know
think.
how to weed it out and
Hmm.
take the right information and use it, because people are going to lead you the wrong way, especially if they're in some situation that is not going good for them. They're just going to tell you just some random stuff,
Misery loves
and
company.
yeah, just
Yes.
mix yourself up and make it even worse. Just
Yeah.
let that person come to you. You
That
know.
Yeah,
and that. Yeah. Go ahead, Miss Ingrid.
I had a friend. They've been divorced now. This friend my husband, it was one of his shipmates, and um, they had been married as long as we had. They got married the following year after we did, but his wife, whenever she would get angry, with him or something was going on with them, she would always, try to drag me into the situation, and I'm
Mm.
like, Hey, I'm not mad at dude at my house right now. I'm not mad right now. I'm not going down that, I'm not going down that road with you. And to the very end, she would always do that. She would drag me to the point where when they got divorced, sometimes it's hard in divorce because you like which friend are you gonna get?
Yeah.
Because you can't invite them both to everything or whatever. But my husband and I talked about it, and I was like, well, we're not gonna choose. Like, we're gonna remain both of their friends, even though she was the bad part of the marriage.
Mhm.
And she eventually ended up Xing herself out because she really did some um, very hurtful, mean, dangerous things to her husband in the end, and we ended up not being able to be friends, remain friends with her. So we got him in the divorce, but she was always trying to drag me into her nonsense, and what I'm saying when I say dangerous, really dangerous, like threatening to plotting to kill him and different things like that. It was crazy, but yeah, so like like Anthony said, all advice is not good advice, and then people you don't know what you'll do until you are standing in that. You know what I'm saying? You can see what happened in other people's lives and what they did. How they handled it is how they handled it. How
Mhm.
you're going to handle it is how you're going to handle it. Somebody, I've been told on several occasions throughout the years or whatever, why would you take this or why would you take that or why, you know, because this is my relationship. This is
Yeah.
not your relationship. And that takes me to the next point. Stop talking so much.
Ooh, yes.
We talk too much. My god sister says that all the time. We talk too much. We run our mouth too much.
Mhm.
And, we tell everything. When in the beginning of the marriage, I guess I felt like we were, um, first of all, we were young. We were by ourselves because he was in the Navy. And so we had moved away from both of our families. Nobody was there with us in Virginia. And so it was just us. So it was good because it was like if there was some type of argument or some type of disagreement or whatever, there was nobody to go to somebody's house and say, I'm gonna go stay over here, I'm gonna spend the night over here and be away from. No, we were in that apartment together and we had to work that thing out. It was, and we didn't tell our families everything that was going on, everything that was happening, because they will feel the same way. If I had told my mother some of the stuff that he had done or something he had said, she was still gonna feel some kind of way about that.
Yep.
Past when we had made up and I was okay. But she's not all right with that, and vice versa, same thing. And so that thing, we talk too much, and you can't tell everybody everything. You can't discuss every situation with your friends, and people's opinions, for lack of a better word, is like an asshole. Everybody has.
Everyone has one. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. Me and Kim actually talked about that. It's funny you mentioned that because
Yes.
we mentioned how you can't say everything between your partner, you and him. Yes, y'all should be talking, but telling your family, like you say, you get over it in 4 or 5 days, but your family is just gonna keep. Okay, you remember he did this like 5, 6 years down the line. Oh, you remember you said he didn't know how to do this, or he did this to you, and you remember that time he kind of talked to you real loud, and he did
Mhm.
that in front of everybody, made you feel a certain
And
way.
I've forgotten.
Yeah.
I've forgotten.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
you're like, man, really? I shouldn't even said it because I've done that in the
Right.
past. I'm not even lying. I've told my mom some things, and to this day, she'll bring it up. Oh, you remember when she did this? And I'm like, yeah, but we've been divorced, and I'm not even with her no more. So what does it matter?
What does it
Well,
matter?
well, you remember when is like I said, you gotta. you got to be with your person for the good and the bad. So
Mhm.
good is going to be always good,
Hmm.
but when the bad comes is where you have to, trek along and make sure that you take it, you run with it, and you just keep pushing forward. Because I I always thought, I'm gonna find a person that meshes with me, and we're just gonna have this happy relationship. That's never gonna happen.
I don't know.
You
Yeah.
know, it,
Yeah.
like the person that Kim met at the nail salon, they're still in the honeymoon phases.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
it's 3 years. It's gonna come to a point where he's gonna kind of get tired of it, but deal with it. I mean, I
Hmm.
did that. I catered, to both of the women I had. I did whatever, whatever I had to, with my current fiance, same thing. I used to get her flowers. Yeah, I stopped doing that, but I actually thought it's crazy because I thought about it today. I'm just gonna just start doing what I used to do. I used to just send her flowers to her job. Well, now she don't got a job. I mean, she has a job, but she don't have a desk or anything, so I
Mm.
can't send it to her. So I'm just gonna just start picking them up and bringing them to the house and just
Bring them
have them here,
home.
just randomly, because I don't really like Valentine's Day. I actually
So
did a whole.
how long have you and Janelle been together?
It's about 10 years.
10 years. Okay.
Yeah, 10 years. And I know you're gonna ask how
Okay.
come we haven't got married. See, I knew it.
And you said this whole thing about Italy or whatever, whatever. When we got married, of course, I had this big thing in my head. At the time, I worked at University of Houston when we got engaged. I worked at U of H, and of course, they have this big, beautiful chapel over there, and there's a hotel there, full service hotel. And I had planned this wedding or whatever. We didn't have no money. We didn't have nothing.
I mean, it's not a
And
money
so
situation. It's
that's what I'm saying. Time, none of that. We got married. He came home because he was already in, and he was on the East Coast already. He came home right before he was going on a 9-month deployment, and came in. We got married before Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving was that Thursday, I think, or whatever, and we got married. I went to work. I went to work that morning to pick up my check to pay for the license. It was $35. Pay for the license, and then we went to the courthouse. I had on a raw silk green shirt, some jeans, and some sneakers. He had on a button down polo shirt, some jeans, and some sneakers. And then I went back to work after we left the courthouse.
Oh wow.
He dropped me off at work and went and hung out with his family and friends or something. Came back and picked me up from work that evening, and we went out to IHOP and had some steak and eggs. So yeah, we
so
you know.
it's not, well, I'll just be 100% honest. We both have really never said we got to get married, right? So we travel a lot, and I know around that time in 2020, we were like, in my mind, I did the whole thing. I called her dad, asked for her hand in marriage and everything. But before that, we've never like said, okay, we have to get married. It's never been like a thing for us, because we said we are eventually going to get married, but we never said, okay, we have to get married. We have to do this. It's never been that type of situation. And that's what, you're not the only person. I mean, a lot of people say, when you guys are going to get married? Because they know us for like many years. It's, if it's not top of mind, we rather travel, abroad or something, and use our money that way, because we're big travelers. So, I mean, yes, eventually we will. I mean, maybe soon. I mean, we're going
That's
out
what
of
I'm
the
saying.
country,
What's
but
It's not about money. So
but see, we don't know. We don't know if we want to do like because is we've always she's always pictured a destination wedding, but for her,
okay.
destination wedding is bring her whole family. It's like, having people come to like out of the country is kind of tough sometimes. because not everybody have passports, so I figured, and I told her, because originally the whole plan was to elope and then have a reception when we came back. So
That sounds great.
that's probably what we're gonna do. Just come back and have like the celebration and maybe do
Yeah.
like a reception here. But I mean,
Yeah.
we're not forcing the situation either.
Whatever they do, I'm gonna be the flower girl. I'm gonna be a 46-year-old flower
Look,
girl.
Kim. Okay, Oprah and Stedman. All right.
Oprah and Stephen, yes. I had another question that makes me ask too, because Ingrid, you've been there for so long. When is too soon? When is it too soon? Because like a lot of people say, "Oh, I met and we got married in after 3 days of dating, we knew we wanted to be married." And but how did you know that? You knew what your boxes was, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But and then y'all knew y'all was gonna get married. He knew that, he seen that at that vision. What if I'm just saying me? Because my vision, what I thought I seen is cloudy. I thought I seen the rainbow, but it was really the clouds because I really can't see, and the eyes are kind of halfway closed too. So my vision is very bad because I thought that many times. I've been engaged 3 times, married once, uh, and I used to be the person that if the eggs weren't cooked right, oh, we breaking up. It's over. The relationship over. But I learned to like, okay, let's go. Let's work through some things. But I mean, y'all
Like
never.
that. Okay, so for instance, the eggs wasn't cooked right.
Mhm.
Is it because he cooked the eggs and he cooked them wrong?
No, it was because of me cooking them, and I felt offended because he said something about it. So the relationship was over. At that time,
Okay.
everybody
Okay.
that said something, the relationship was over. I've been through
Because
some good
I'm just saying, if he felt like you didn't cook the eggs well, guess what? Do you know how to cook the eggs?
relationships.
Do you know how to cook the eggs like you like them or whatever? So you cook the eggs for a while. Let me watch you cook the eggs. You teach me how to cook the eggs how you like the eggs. I was just saying that to my whole my kids and my husband the other night that we ate differently in my house than other people did. My dad said that he worked too hard. There was no cold sandwiches. He did no fast food. We never had pizza in my house.
Mhm.
We didn't eat burgers, hot dogs, fries. So I didn't even know how to cook a burger when I met my husband because we had never
Oh.
done that. I didn't know how to cook a burger, but he loved cheeseburgers. So
Mhm.
he taught, or pan sausage. My dad didn't want to eat pork. We ate turkey bacon and that kind of thing.
Mhm.
So my husband taught me how to cook a pan sausage and how to cook a burger. He
Mhm.
didn't want to toss me to the side because I didn't know how to do it. You see what I'm saying? He just said,
Mhm.
"This is the way I like this." I knew how to cook scrambled eggs, but guess what? His scrambled eggs are better than mine. So I cook scrambled eggs now the way that he cooked scrambled eggs. I added milk. I'd never seen anybody do that before. Add milk to the scrambled eggs. It makes them lighter and fluffier. You
Mhm.
see, it's just, I have strengths. He has strengths. He tells everybody all the time that if he was the one that was wielding the checkbook, we would be outside, hungry, and naked.
Wow.
Because anything that he wants to do, anything that he sees that he wants to have, or where he wants to go, he's gonna do that. And the bills, they last on
Yeah.
the list. Yeah. And
Wow.
so, and then people grow up differently. You have different backgrounds. You also have to be cognizant of how people grew up. How was he raised? We weren't raised in the same environment. We weren't raised in the same social groups. We weren't raised in the same economic status.
Mhm.
So you have to make accommodations and compromise with your spouse for things like that. You know.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's true because I can honestly tell you when I lived in New York, and my mom and dad were together because they separated and she moved here to Houston. When we lived there, I think it was maybe once a month we ate out, like, and it was going to be some kind of pizza or Chinese food or something like that. But every
Mhm.
day, my mom worked a full time job. She was the building superintendent, which that considered here is like a manager of an apartment complex or something,
Mhm,
and
mhm,
it was
mhm,
building. So she did that all day. He had his own contract company, and he basically did almost the same thing she did, but he did it in other buildings. And every day it was some type of Dominican food, and he basically, kind of taught her and showed her the food, from Dominican Republic, because she didn't know. We're part Dominican, part Honduran, so she knew the food from Honduras, and she would make some of that, but she would mostly make Dominican food every day, and it was pork chops, rice, beans, and salad. Some type of mixture like that, rice, bean, potatoes, every day, and we never drank a Coke unless it was a special occasion. We drank iced tea every day, iced tea or
mhm.
water, pretty much. I didn't drink a Coke until like they went and got Chinese food, or we got went to the corner store and got like pizza or something. Because New York is different. You can go get a
Yeah,
whole
yeah.
hoagie and a pizza in the corner compared to like here. So when we moved to Texas, when she separated, it was like, okay, now she's working a full-time job, but she has to drive. Before, it was she was in the building where she worked at. Now she has to
Right.
drive. So it's like me and my brother basically fended for ourselves for many years. We
Mhm.
just started learning how to cook. I started learning how to do the pork chops myself. I taught myself how to cook the rice and beans until I got it right. And then when I met my first wife, I taught her how to cook the food that I like. You know, this is how you fry the pork chop. This is, we don't use a breading, in Dominican Republic. We just fry it, you season it, fry it, bam, just like that. Chicken
And
as
fry.
well. Yeah, and now with my fiance, she's starting to learn a little bit. I teach her a little bit, I feed her some of the food, or I'll cook it myself, and teach her. But it's gotten to the point where she cooks now, so I don't really have to cook. Whereas, in the other relationship, we were doing it half and half. Now she'll
Mhm.
just like, I'm good some days. I eat less now, so I'm good some days with a cold sandwich. I'm like, you just came home from work. I understand you've been driving around all day. Let's just eat a sandwich, or let me go pick up some food, or just pick up fast food. Times have changed, and it's true because, I mean, now it's way easier. Spend $20 on two people than going to HEB and spending a whole bunch of other money. You know, you go to HEB now and spend $200, and you basically bought nothing.
Yeah, you
You know,
bought
you
meat. I've done that. You bought enough meat. You got 3 packs of meat
yeah,
for
pretty
three
much that's it.
meals.
Yeah,
That is it.
Yeah.
you even got the rest to go with it, like the potatoes and all that. So, you,
Jeez.
yeah, so it's times have changed, but like you said, it's you have to know the backgrounds, because I
Mhm.
can teach you what I know, and you can teach me what you know, and then we can meet in the middle. If you like eggs a certain way, because like I like sunny side up eggs or fried hard. My fiance never liked it until I taught her, okay, look, you can get sunny side up fried hard, and the yolk is cooked. So she likes that now. So like when we go,
Mm.
I see you making faces, but it's really good. Or like she doesn't eat that, but like sometimes, you get a burger with the sunny side up egg in there, and you squeeze it and everything comes
I've
out, and
seen it. I've
it's
seen
actually pretty good. I don't like trying everything. I'm not a vegetable person, so I try other things. Like I dislike vegetables. I can only eat certain vegetables. It's too much for me.
it. Green
But
is life, Anthony.
well, I mean that's why I do broccoli. I mean, and salads is only so much. It's only so much a salad is gonna
Yeah.
taste good, and I don't really like all the dressings. Catalina and all that. Ugh.
Mhm.
Anything that look like tomatoes to me is like it's not good.
Oh,
But
yeah.
yeah, Kim, you can't just like toss it aside. You know.
I that was me back. I did do this time to break up. I probably broke up with a lot of people. They didn't get a second date. What you saying? What? What? I'm wearing blue and I know it's purple, and it really was blue. But I'm breaking up. Let me delete you off my phone. It was crazy. But that was me back then. But I did. I can say I stuck out a 12-year relationship. Tried to work through everything, and I think it was just like we said the past podcast. It was a status thing. Uh,
Mm.
it was just that status because I'm a daddy's girl. I am 46 and my dad is my world. So I want to make sure he know I'm good and I'm making this relationship work and all that kind of stuff. And my dad said, I knew you wasn't happy. I knew you could just see the expression. But then I had to show status on Facebook. We're so happy. We're loving.
Mm.
We're giving kisses, and then we get after that picture, that 2 second picture. Is we walking past each other, not saying anything, or just
Oh,
having converse. It was just at the end.
wow.
It was horrible. So, but we grew up not too far from each other. So we both had some of the same values and views. He was a hardworking man. He grew up with a hardworking family. We had that. He grew up in the church like I did. My grandmother kept me in the church, but did not know some deep dark secrets was in his family to the end of our relationship. And he didn't go to church. So, and I accepted that. And I know now, if the man that I God has for me, or he's pursuing me, if you're not in church, you're not the man for me. You don't have to have a college degree. You don't have to make all the money in the world. You don't have to be this, what they put on social media or whatever. You just have to love God. You have to lead with God. If you don't do that and you want to be out here, as my grandmother said, you want to be hoeing in the streets, do that by yourself. Don't bring me in that
Mm,
situation. I don't have time for it. And in my last situation, I forgave him for the couple of things he did and stayed together. At the end, he was just doing it. I mean, he covered it up, but I knew, and I guess I was tired. I'm like, whatever. Don't come home to me with the stuff. And that's why I'm saying now, I don't want to be in a threesome. If
Mm-hmm.
you got to be with somebody else, go be with that person. Leave me alone. I'm gonna be okay. So that's what I'm knowing now, that my what I want. And I don't want nobody to lie, because you get there, they'll tell you all this stuff that they
mm,
this person, and you're like, oh yeah, he the man for me. And just because you went to church one day and you haven't went 6 months since, do you tired? Do you go to prayer? Do you go to Bible study? Even if it's online, we got church online. You ain't never got to go to the house of the Lord no more. You can just do it from your home, but lead with God. And if you can't lead with God, you're not my mate. And I'm starting to stray away from a lot of different people. It being that people I grew up with, went to school with, and people I'm mess with. If I don't hear God in y'all conversation, you know, I'm limiting my conversations with you, my phone calls with you, because I can be happy in my own bed that I hadn't had Ingrid for 13 years. I hadn't had my own bed in 13 years, so it feel good. I can be there by myself, studying for school, figuring out this next business venture, and be happy and not dealing with anything, because you can't give me any advice. You can't talk to me. And I'm learning that with certain friendships, that what are we talking about? If it's just crazy, you're not saying what God would do. Like Marcus D. Wiley said, marriage is a major surgery. But
Mm-hmm.
are we gonna be able to take that? We know to go to God and to be able to go through that surgery and know it's gonna be okay. And that's why listening to your conversation is just inspiring me even more so, that some of the things that I was thinking, like I said, God was trying to talk to me Tuesday, and I did not know what it was until I went to that church. Wednesday night. And
Mm-hmm.
God is telling me some things you need to step back from, some things
Mm-hmm.
you need to move away from, because if they're not leading with God, that's not what you need. Because I know I need Him every day. Like I said, I had my Job season a year ago, where I thought I was scared to breathe, because I'm finna lose something else. Oh God, please. And we do lose sight, miss church a week, miss this. But one thing for sure, if I miss church, I'm not gonna miss my tithing. I'm not gonna miss my morning prayer. I'm not gonna miss my afternoon prayer. But I'm going to God, and I know I want that man to lead me and to have that attitude that God is the head. You are under him, not that you the head. God is the head. So yeah, I'm learning
And
from
I
him.
don't want you to focus on um, definitely not you finding him, but don't even focus on him finding you. What I want you
Mhm.
to focus on is you, because
Yes.
then you will attract the person to you that is supposed to be your person. You know, if
Mhm.
you taking care of your business and you get working on your stuff with school and getting yourself together, you'll attract that person to you. Hey, look at her. She got it going
Mhm.
on. This chick, she got her head on her shoulder straight. We want some of the same things. It could be a friend. It could
Mhm.
be a friend. And so that goes back to what I didn't tell y'all, the funny thing about the ex. So years later, we remained friends
Mhm.
because he was, and I remember he started out being my hairstylist.
Mhm.
So he continued on to do my hair even after after I got married or whatever. He and my husband became friends or whatever.
Wow.
But uh, some years later, after I've been married and had both of my children or whatever,
Mhm.
he said to me that he knew that he lost the best thing that had ever happened to him. And he said that he felt like I was supposed to be his wife. We were
Mhm.
supposed to be this power couple. And I said, no, because you didn't protect my heart.
Mhm.
You didn't protect my heart. You never considered me. You never thought about me before you would do something. And that's another thing. Your person is supposed to be protecting you. He's supposed to protect your heart.
Mhm.
You know, before you make the big purchase, you
Mhm.
know, just go out and say, oh, I wanted this. And before you go out and make that big purchase, before the lady across at the bar, you know, winks her eye at you and slides you her number and you make that phone call and call her, and you know, you start talking, what I call, you know, people have, you can have harmless flirting or whatever, and then
Mhm.
you should be able to walk away. You
Mhm.
know, at the end of the night, I could see you buying her a drink and then walking away, you know,
Mhm.
and saying, I got to go home. My wife is waiting on me or whatever, or
Mhm.
my husband is waiting on me, you know. That person should be considering you. So I had to tell him, no, you didn't. I wasn't supposed to be your wife. I'm not what you wanted. You wanted to do all these other things out here. And that's, you can take, I didn't let him take my choice. Don't
Mhm.
let people take your choice, because you can say to me, hey, I just really don't feel like I want to be in a monogamous relationship with you. I want to date a couple of other people or whatever. And then let me make the decision to say, you got some women out here, they'll say, okay, well, we're in an open relationship, we're
Mhm.
dating, we're whatever.
Mhm.
Let them make that choice, but that's not my choice. And so
That's
don't
so
take my
true.
choice. Tell me what we're doing, what you want to do, what your plan is. Let me make the decision if I want to participate with you within that nonsense. And somebody you know, at 19, 20, hey, somebody may want to do that, but at, you know, 35, 40 years old, no, I don't want to do that. No.
Mhm.
So you go on and go on your way, and if that's going to make you happy, you go ahead and do that, but that's not what I'm doing. That's not what I want for me. And so don't let them take your choice.
Yes. Yes. I definitely had that conversation many times before. That's what happened. I can't respect anybody that don't come to me and say, "Hey, I'm messing with this person," because I didn't have a choice with my last relationship because he was doing it, and he didn't give me a choice. That's why I would never respect him ever to this day. You know what I'm saying? You pay your money. We living good. They celebrate me for Mother's Day and Father's Day, but I can never respect you because you put me in a situation where you didn't know that if that girl was crazy, she could have came after me, or called my phone or did. And I had that situation a year ago, but that's on another podcast, how to get away from a stalker. But
Oh.
yeah, I had that situation, and that's why I can't respect nobody, because if you, I can't respect the person that, oh, I'll let you know if I start, even if we just dating or we just, friends with benefits. You put me in that situation, and that means that you don't want to ever be my friend again, because I gave you that option to come to me, and I know I'm very open to say, hey, let me know when you decide to lay your pipe down in another hole. Let me know, because I'm gonna just move around and move around. I don't, let y'all do y'all thing, because I don't want that situation, because I
Mm,
don't know
mm,
what may
mm.
come. Anthony, know I'm crazy. I don't want that situation to arise, because you don't never know what the next person you messing with, how they gonna be, how they are. So yeah, me and Anthony have so many discussions. Like, I think, what, it was a couple of weeks ago, I was so depressed, and I was like, man, Anthony, I just want to let this friend go. I just want to let this friend go. They hurt me so bad, and I would never do those things to them, ever. And
This is a female?
it was a female and a male. Well, one of them is my friend, and they said some stuff, and the male said some stuff. But it all happened in that same week. That when I finally talked to Anthony, because I had held it in, I didn't know who to talk to, and I was like, and I just went off. I ain't never just went off on the phone. Anthony just blah 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 blah. It was just like all falling out, and he was like, with his calm demeanor, yeah, you have to see, what this person intentions were. I mean, it was just all in 1 week. I think they demons wanted to jump on me, and I was
Mm,
feeling it. I actually felt their demons, because I was in a funk, and like, man, what did I do to these people? But not, be nice and be there for them, but they want to do stuff, and then they don't feel like I'm doing anything wrong. I didn't do anything wrong. You're the
mm,
one feeling some kind of way. What? And I was like, you know what? Let me just step back. God, you got it. Anything that try to come up against me and put the demons on me, God, you got it. And I burn my candles in my house to keep, the demons away. My grandmother taught me about the oil at the door, my car. I put the oil on my head now, walking into work. These demons are not finna get on me. I already got some things I'm, working past, but not, they're not gonna give me their demons. I refuse to take that. I done took them too long, and so yeah, yeah, it was hard.
So we're going on for an hour and 22 minutes.
I love time. This is, see how it's getting better. Our podcast is getting better, because we got people with experience and truthful people.
Yeah, I may cut this one into two
It
just
is.
because it might be too long.
Yeah, I
No,
like it.
okay.
Yeah,
no.
it, it's
And if you
nice.
have another question, in the future or whatever,
Oh yeah, you're gonna come back,
I'm
Miss
here.
Ingrid. You coming back? You
I'm
Let me
definitely.
here.